Hey guys, welcome to Starting Out Solitary. I'm your Thursday host Michelle, and this week's topic is biggest regrets in our practice. When I think about my biggest regrets in my practice, I don't really like to use the word regret because had I not made the decisions and choices I had made back when I first started or in the past, I wouldn't be who I am and where I am right now. So I like to look at it more as, things I could change or things I could have changed to make things a little bit different or to go more in the direction I really wanted to go. And one of the things I wish I would have changed or would have been a little different is the time in which I started practicing and the point in my life in which I started seeking spiritually. In my teens and early 20s, I had for lack of a better word, a fuck it attitude when it came to spirituality and, God and things like that. Being brought up in an atheist household, I was just taught that, there's no such thing and, you live, you die, your body rots, you return to the earth, you're done. That's it. You don't reincarnate, you don't do anything. You live and you die and you're done. So for, many years, like I said, in my early 20s, my late teens and early 20s, I didn't really think about it. It actually wasn't something I ever really thought about. Spirituality didn't pop up as something I needed to look into until, I'm going to say, my mid to late 20s. That's when I started, really questioning things and thinking about things and really, asking myself, what do I believe? What do I think is going to happen when I die? Or what do I really think of God or the whole concept of God or the divine? And that's when I started really questioning things and started, really seeking. And I didn't really get fully into studying and researching and learning about spirituality until my late 20s. So, I started pretty late in life, kind of. I mean, not really, but, I think if I had sought out what I thought of in terms of spirituality earlier, maybe, my life would have been a little more positive back then, or I wouldn't have done certain things that, you do when you're, a dumb teenager or, young adult. So had I been on more of a spiritual path at that age, I probably would have gone in a different direction with my life. Maybe a more positive one. I don't know. I don't like to think too much about the what ifs because I'm content with where I'm at now. So in order to get to where I'm at now, I had to go through what I already went through. So that's one of the things I wish I could have, done a little differently or change, and that is, started learning and seeking at an earlier, younger age. But, like I said, I don't regret it. I just kind of wish it was a little earlier. But I don't really have too many other regrets or things I wish were different. Maybe small things like, of course, when I first started practicing, excuse me, when I first started practicing, I thought, things had to be by the book or a book or whatever, and if I wasn't doing things exactly like so-and-so in this book said, then I was doing it wrong. And, I didn't have that mentality for too long, but I know a lot of us go through that when we first start learning and first actually start putting what we've learned and what we've been studying into practice. And I did a lot of studying and a lot of reading and research before I even thought about putting anything to practice or putting anything, in motion as far as, spell work or ritual or anything like that. I was pretty much a bookworm for many years before I even considered, practicing. And so when I did, I thought it had to be this way or had to be that way. But I quickly found out that those are just guidelines, suggestions, and so on and so forth. And, I figured out pretty quickly that, your practice is what you make it, and it's a self-designed type of thing. And you go with your heart, you go with what resonates with you. So, and books and stuff like that are good guidelines and good things to get ideas from and stuff like that. But yeah, at first I was very worried that I was doing something wrong. So, and another thing is probably the fact that I was in the closet, so to speak, for so long to my family, my direct family that I live with. They had no clue. I mean, they knew I was, doing a lot of study and reading and constant reading and things, but when I first started practicing, I was very, very, very in the closet about it. They had no idea. They had, even the tools and the things that I had to practice with at the time, which wasn't much, but it was, all I needed at the time, that stuff was put away and not out in the open, and, they never saw it for, at least 2 years. I practiced without anyone knowing. And for some people that's fine, but at first it didn't bother me too much, but then, as time went on, I'm like, this is my family. I shouldn't have to hide things. I shouldn't have to, be secretive about my spiritual beliefs or the practices that I want to follow. So I slowly, instead of just like laying it all out there on them, I kind of just slowly started bringing things out and slowly just started doing things out in the open. And, now all my things are all over my house everywhere and there's no hiding anything. But, and the way they reacted was the complete opposite from what I thought. And that was, they didn't even really, bat an eye. They're like, what's that for? And I would tell them, they'd be like, oh, okay. No big deal. I'm like, really? So yeah, I do wish I would have just been open from the get-go and from the start. But, I thought, especially with my daughter going to Christian school and her dad being Christian, I mean, he's not like, he doesn't go to church or anything like that, but he was brought up in a Christian household, went to Christian school. So, but they're both very open-minded and, so I don't know why I hid it. So that's one thing I wish I would have changed, is I wish I would have, just been open about my practice and my studying and things like that, because they had no clue what I was reading about. They had no clue what I was learning. In the end, they didn't. They didn't really even bat an eye. They're like, oh, is that what you're into? Cool, okay, next. Like, nothing. So I wish I wouldn't have put so much energy into, keeping things a secret or keeping them on the DL, if you know what I mean. So that's about it as far as regrets and things I wish I would have changed or would have done a little differently in my practice. Again, like I said, not really regrets, just kind of wish I would have done things a little differently in those areas, but I'm glad I didn't, because had things, like I said, gone differently or not gone the way they did, I wouldn't be where I'm at now, and things wouldn't be, for me, where they are now in my practice. So, one little thing you change about the past can change the future completely. So, anyways, that's about it for me, and I hope you guys are having a great week. Blessed be.